imagine a girl standing in front of a mirror, picturing a picture of a perfect tiny skinny model on the top page of a magazine. What do you think she sees in the mirror? Today I would like to ground you a little bit in the illness called anorexia nervosa in order to help you better understand a person who is trying to lose more weight than is appropriate for their age and height. But before we do so, and we will talk about the causes of this illness and about the actual example for which I picked my sister, we have to talk about what actually anorexia nervosa is. So, anorexia nervosa is undertaking the definition from articles from Smith and Siegel. Anorexia nervosa, signs, symptoms, causes, and treatment. Has two types, and the first type is purging type. Purging type is characterized by a person who is trying to clear their body by different methods. You can look at your handouts on page 1. We have described it more specifically. Those are the methods by which they are trying to clear their body. The second one, taken the definition from the article Restrictive Personality, Anorexia Nervosa and Adlerian Life Tasks from Strauch and Eres. They talk about restrictive type, and it's practically person is trying to develop restriction to their way of living, and they are restricting what they eat and also trying to restrict their rest. So they are burning calories and trying to be more active. Definition of both of these types is combined because in both cases person is trying to lose weight and is fearing of gaining weight. So under the definition taken from the book Demystifying an Optimist, Anorexia Nervosa, An Optimistic Guide to Understanding and Healing from Alexander Lucas, Kelly Bemis, the psychologist, shares her view of this illness. Anorexia nervosa is a complex of physical, emotional, and behavioral changes occurring in individuals who starve themselves because of an aversion to food or weight gain. But in order to understand this illness properly, we have to look also on the definition taken from Smith and Siegel's article. Anorexia nervosa isn't really about food and weight, at least not at its core. Eating disorders are much more complicated than that. The food and weight gain related issues are symptoms of sucking paper. Things like depression, loneliness, insecurity, pressure to be perfect, or feeling out of control. Things that no amount of dieting or weight loss can cure. And as I would add, what you can't cure by simply getting your weight back. Now when we talk about what actually anorexia nervosa is, we can talk about what are the causes. So Alexander Lucas, in his previously mentioned book, talked about 3 factors which influence developing of anorexia nervosa. You can look at your handouts on page 2. There is a picture of these 3 factors developing anorexia. These 3 factors are biological, psychological, and environmental factors. Biological factors is practically refers to the genetic information. Lucas explains that a person who develops anorexia has to have a genetic foundation for this illness. Practically, when all these 3 factors occur on the same time, it is very likely that the person will get anorexia. The second type is psychological. The second factor is psychological. And in Smith and Siegel article, they talk about it as a very various factor because it's practically characteristics of person. Anorexic people usually are really responsible people who are ambitious and trying to make work done, and they are really perfectionist, what means that they are trying to have everything perfect, and it doesn't really help in this illness because practically they are never satisfied with how they look and never satisfied what they've already achieved. The third one is environmental. Lucas talks about the first one, and that's like Western culture propagandizes a slimness and good appearance as a way to success for women, but doesn't really help. And on the other hand, Smith and Siegel articles talk about the social surroundings and relationships, which also influence developing of anorexia. That can be, for example, pressure from peers or bad experience, which includes pressure, stress, or emotional hardship. So as I said, causes can be really various, and the same it was with my sister. My sister got anorexia when she was 15 because my parents forced her to break up with her boyfriend, and she suffered from a lot of depressions. And she tried to cover it up with healthy lifestyle, exercising, and She practically tried to get six-pack, but it got out of control and she started to count calories and all this kind of stuff. And she developed a restrictive type of anorexia nervosa. I'm not going to talk about symptoms and behaviors, so you can look into your handout, there is more about it. But what I could see, it was practically she lost a lot of weight and she changed from inside, and her personality changed from inside even more than from outside. Treatment of this illness is really, really complicated, and as Alexandru Lucas says in his book, dealing with the unique personalities of patients is largely an art. They must be understood for individuals as they are. So the treatment takes time, and my sister after 4 years is finally better, so I'm really glad. Anorexia is a very dangerous illness, especially because of its power to change whole personality, as you could see. By explaining it, what is it, and by telling you its causes, and also giving you actual example, I hope you are now a little bit more understood in the person's situation, and I hope you understand that it's not always person's fault, even though it's hard to understand even for me as a sister. I would just like to end with the advice: don't ever make your work the key for solving your problems. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's give a round of applause. Thank you very much.